The Fallout 3 assault rifle, a very common gun found scattered across the capital wastes that had its origins with the Army National Guardians deployed to the region before the Great War, but has since found its way into the hands of everyone from the guards of Rivet City and Timpani Towers to the raiders and supermutants that infest downtown DC. The rifle model is designated as the R91 and is in surprisingly good condition for being found in the most targeted city in North America 200 years after a nuclear war. Wooden forestock is unscratched, butt stuck untouched, receiver slightly worn with a few scuffs here and there, but overall is in pretty much just good condition as the day the bombs dropped. However, one weird thing I must point out right now about this gun is its sights, in that they are unusable because no rear notch was included. But that was just an artistic mistake, and aesthetics aren't everything, so let's talk about the gun itself. It is a full-size rifle with a 20-inch barrel and feed from a 24-round detachable box magazine, firing the world-famous 5.56 by 45mm cartridge at about 3,270 feet per second, delivering 1,306 foot-pounds of energy from a 55 grain, 3.56 gram projectile, which is simply devastating when the round hits because of the way it tumbles and breaks apart within the body, turning practically any flesh or organs touched into hamburger meat and causing horrific wounds.
All the energy is dumped into the body. You get tearing, a huge amount of trauma to the tissue.
This gun operates using the extremely reliable roller delayed blowback system, which is essentially where two wheels on either side of the bolt lock it in place within the receiver until the pressure drops before disengaging and allowing the bolt to move rearward under the residual pressure within the chamber, which ejects the spent casing, then chambers a new round. And this system is used in a lot of guns, the MP5 and G3 being the most popular, and it just so happens to own the latter. Now, if you didn't realize that yet, the G3 and assault rifle are very similar in appearance, and that would be because this big battle rifle is the older, more powerful brother to the gun the assault rifle is based off of, the HK-33. The controls of this rifle are fairly similar to your typical modern Western arrangement, with the selector switch here on the left side of the receiver right above the fire control group, while the magazine release is a lever right behind the mag itself in-game, while mine has a button completely located just in front of your right index finger. However, that is where the good handling design ends and the bad design begins, with the charging handle placed way up here right underneath the front side and has a fairly long travel in order to chamber a new round, which isn't ideal, but is a workable arrangement even if it is incredibly awkward to use, especially on a full-size rifle like this. The sights, if functional, would be a rear V-notch or peep sight depending on the user's preference, and a thin blade surrounded by a hood for protection that is crisp and lovely to use for the front sight. Now we can look at the R91's variants only found within the Pit DLC, Infiltrator, and Perforator. The Infiltrator is a scoped, silenced, and stockless carbine that was probably used by American Special Forces units during the Sino-American Wars because of its smaller, more compact dimensions that made it easier to use and more maneuverable on the covert missions, sacrificing firepower for stealth. The Perforator is a unique version of the Infiltrator and is only found by turning 90 steel ingots into Everett at the mill after clipping through the world 17 times too many. It is also scoped and suppressed but fires slightly slower while doing more damage, giving it better accuracy for lower DPS and abysmal durability. Both these rifles' constructions differ slightly from the default version by having shorter carbine-length barrel, polymer furniture, suppressors, low power scopes, and no stock, giving these guns a very distinct silhouette when compared to their cousins. But my biggest problem with these guns is their lack of a stock, mainly because the recoil buffer spring that returns the bolt to its lock position is housed within the stock itself. Now it is possible that the recoil spring is shortened and lock against the back plate, but that raises a whole host of other problems, such as compounding the already increased recoil from a shorter recoil spring that is stiffer and doesn't draw the impact out as much, creating excessive wear and tear on the components involved, like the back plate, which would take the entire brunt of that bolt, slamming into it with each shot, which might explain the Perforator's terrible health. And that is assuming the dimensions involved would even give the bolt enough travel space to eject spent cartridges in the first place. But that is not even taken into account either their unreliable extraction in these variants. The gun is recoil operated as stated, and so relies on the backward motion of the bolt to operate the system and needs a solid foundation to rest against for the mechanism to work properly, i.e. your shoulder. Imagine for me that you're trying to hammer a nail into a board, but you're holding the board up in the air like a dingus. Every swing of the hammer would simply knock the board and nail around without any progress being made because there is no good backstop like a table to allow the energy to be transferred into properly. In this example, the table would be your shoulder, the hammer recoil, board bolt carrier, and nail the spin casing that is trying to be extracted. However, even with these potential problems, I still really like both these weapons. They give the vibe of clandestine operations, like the company in Pittsburgh that was manufacturing them was working under the auspices of the DIA to make specialized guns for black ops against the Chinese. Silent, light, compact, and deadly little carbines used for assassinations and espionage. I love it, even if the scope would be nigh impossible to use. So that is the Fallout 3 assault rifle, a version of the HK-33 developed by the US military for civil defense with the National Guard units, but also saw some frontline service during the Sino-American in war. A special thank you is owed to my friend Sam for reviewing my script for me. If you enjoyed this video, leave a like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one.